What's up everybody, another beautiful day on the Dragon Isles, and today we'll be taking a look at the new dungeon, the Azure Vault. Azure? Which will be the 4th dungeon in my quick guide series for all Mythic dungeons and M+ in Dragonflight, focusing on boss mechanics. So Azure Vault, no real gimmick to the dungeon, but there are some tomes scattered around the dungeon which you can interact with as a Dragthir or inscription, which you can use to reverse engineer traps to AoE polymorph / stun big trash pulls. With that said, let's take a look at the first boss, Laymore. Don't be near the sprouts that spawns, they pulsate AoE damage. Make sure to remove all sprouts before consuming Stomp or it hits harder and you will die. Remove it by either hitting it with the tank frontal, erupting fissure, or by hitting sprouts with explosive brand circle. You get 1 frontal and 1 set of brands before each stomp, so make them count. When sprouts break, on Mythic they spawn volatile saplings that needs to be tanked and they explode on death. Moving on to the second boss, we have Azure Blade. Has a frontal 10-yard cleave that deals arcane damage, and a frontal orb, if you will, that she hurls towards a player like the mobs before last boss in Tasavish. Deals a ton of damage as well and knocks you back. Now throughout the fight, Azure Blade will spawn images that has an interruptible cast, Illusionary Bolt, and on death, these images trigger unstable magic, which are swirls on the ground. Swirls are bad. Deals damage in a 3-yard area on impact. Boss will cast Overwhelming Energy, which is an intermission. Boss becomes immune to damage and spawns 4 illusions that channel into Azure Blade. Kill these to end intermission, and they also trigger unstable magic on death. Moving on to the third boss, we have Talash Greywing. Now take note of the runes around the room. They will each have a barrier around them that protects you from the intermission ability, named after me, Absolute Zero. So boss hops into the middle and takes 99% reduced damage and starts casting Stankie Absolute Zero, which deals near lethal damage to everyone in the party and roots them for 10 seconds. Standing in a rune barrier reduces damage taken by 50% and you don't get rooted. On Mythic, barrier runes go inactive after you've used them, so always stack in the same barrier. Now the boss itself targets everyone in the party with frost bombs, detonates after 5 seconds, dealing damage to anyone within 5 yards and drops frosty puddles. Stack these or spread them out along the edge of the room, avoid putting them on top of the vault runes. And then there's Icy Devastator, channels this at a random player, dealing frost damage to all players within 8 yards of that target. Move away if you're targeted by this. And finally we have Umbral Skull. Arcane Eruption, spawns orb that fly around, deals near lethal damage if you get hit. Crystalline Roar, targets a random player, boss fires off a frontal blast in a line towards them. Don't get hit. Dragon Strike, tank slam, stomps dealing arcane damage and leaves a dispellable dot on the tank. Now every 25% the boss will spawn a bunch of detonating crystals that cast Fracture. If this goes off, everyone in the party gets a dot, 1 stack per fracture, and one of these crystals will have an absorb and should be prioritized. Nuke these down before fracture goes off. As on Mythic, boss also follows up with Unleashed Destruction, which deals a large amount of damage to everyone, so you do not want fracture dots there. And yeah, that's it for the boss fights in the Azure Vault. Let me know what y'all think of these bite-sized dungeon guides in the comments, and if you'd like to see more dungeon content in the future. Don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I stream progression and testing on Twitch, Stankie Gaming. Make sure to check out my Patreon if you want to help support me, my work, and my goal of upgrading my computer. And as a patron, you get access to the Stankie Discord, among other things. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.